Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another cast, guys. I promised I would start casting more regularly. I said that I would give you consistency, rigor, and schedule. That is exactly what I plan to do today. I'm bringing you a 4v4. Guys, if you are watching, please comment in the comments section. Do you prefer smaller or bigger games? You prefer the 1v1s or the 4v4s or anything in between? What are your favorite kinds of games to watch? I am very curious as a caster. Now, this map, Hell on Earth, is always really interesting. Of course, it is a 4v4 map, and then in the middle you have these patches of metal, which is a very important resource. You also have patches up here as well. This is the quintessential TRP style map in TA Escalation. So this always leads to the most chaotic clown fiesta situations imaginable. Of course, I would prefer if the lava was water. I think that would be a little more interesting, because then at least you could have a naval dimension of the map. But I can't complain too much. It's still a pretty cool map. But guys, before I jump too much into this game, go ahead and join my Discord if you haven't already. We're trying to organize games, trying to build a community. I love to have more people so that we can organize more games, and anyone watching this channel could play with us. We accept people of all skill levels, so go ahead and join the Discord if you haven't. I'll put the link in the description below. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce the teams. Let's do the Northern team, or Team 1. Here in red, we have Rage Gamer, who's going a repair pad second. It's a bit unorthodox, to say the least. I think he might be trying something new or something a little bit troll. Yeah, Rage Gamer's trolling a little bit, I think. He hasn't even started taking his metal spots. Not good. Coolnick here in yellow, who is more of a Pro TA player, but he may have just jumped in because it was a big lobby. So I'll be really interested to know how he's doing. In brown, we have Stagnation. And finally, for the Northern team, we have Stagma, the legend. So, yeah, pretty decent team. I think the biggest players here will be Stagma, Stagnation, and Coolnick's a question mark, because we just don't know how good he is at Escalation. At the bottom right, the legendary Wotan, of course, the developer, and we truly appreciate all his work. In light blue is this Perfect Dark. In orange we have Angel, and finally in blue we have Bully. So just looking at the teams, it's decently even. I do think the Northern team probably has an advantage, but Rage Gamer trolling. Even yellow, Coolnick, who doesn't even play this mod that much, wants to know what the hell he's doing. I think all of us watching want to know what the hell yellow is, or excuse me, red is doing at the moment. I think if I were the yellow player, I would start taking his metal. And people get really mad at me when I do this. When I play team games, I'll often just start taking metal spots. But guys, an unused metal spot doesn't help anyone. Nobody is benefiting from this. So, I mean, if your teammate's not going to take it, you could at least take it and then, give it to them. Or just not give it to them. I mean, at least someone has it. I know it's a little selfish, but, if I was yellow, I would just take these. And what's the saying? It's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Certainly the case in this game. Wotan did early on ask his team to push. So on a map like this, it's pretty interesting, because what does tend to happen is that, given it's such a big map and it's made for these sort of long late game situations, people will not build units. They'll just immediately tech up Wotan making the proclamation that Stag will be going for fast T3. I don't know how he knows that. I think he's just speculating that Stag will be going fast T3. Stag hasn't even started T2 yet, so I think that's just Wotan's theory. Wotan's flat earth theory. He believes that Stagma is going for T3, quick T3 rather. But in any case, on a map like this, it's often the case that, wow, I just said that twice. But yeah, on a map like this, it's pretty common that both teams will not build units, or one team won't build units, because everyone's just trying to tech up as fast as possible, and there's some logic to it, but the problem is, if you don't build units, you'll die. So I've said in previous casts, my theory of TA is be as greedy as possible and not die. So sometimes people can be too greedy in this kind of game, and then they will die, and that's not really what you're... It's not really a good plan, so Wotan kind of urging his teammates to actually build units, and not simply get overrun. It is possible on a map like this for the game to just end in like 10 or 15 minutes. If one team is building a ton of units early on and the other team's not building anything. And yellow has done what I sort of said I would do, and just start spamming out mexes that his teammate refuses for some reason that I can only speculate to take. Now, one reason that you might not need as much metal early on is if you were going air. So air, if for anyone who doesn't know, costs less generally. Airplanes cost more energy than metal. So you don't need as much metal early on if you're going an air strat. But red didn't even go air. He did build an air repair pad, but then built no airplanes. So a little bit strange. I think I wouldn't be overstepping to say that Rage Gamer's strategy is unorthodox. That's the nice way of saying it. Unorthodox. And I'm just not sure about this at all, what he's doing. I'm not sure what he's doing, to be honest with you. That's my summation of the principles of this game. Here in brown, Stagnation building some MAKs. We really don't see these enough. MAKs are a lot stronger, I think, than people give them credit for. I think the reason we don't see them as much is because people typically build storms instead. And I can understand that. Storms are cheaper and very spammable, and great on T1, especially if you reach a critical mass, as certainly Stagma is attempting to do here. But MAKs in the right situation are just terrifying to watch, as the players I'm sure will be teching to T2 any moment, or I mean already are. Of course, yellow almost at T2. But I think red is a good example of what Wotan was worried about here. He has not built a single combat unit this whole game that I've seen. He's just been kind of teching up slowly without much metal. Anyway, let's go ahead and check the southern team's base. Looks like everyone is going K-bot this game. Haven't seen any advanced vehicle plants just yet. It's a little bit surprising. On a map like this, both K-bots and vehicles are viable, but I would expect at least somebody to go vehicles. Here we go. Stagma is now on T2. Pumping out pyros. If you watch my last cast, you will see that pyros are very game-winning at a certain stage. So, is that this stage? Are we at the stage where Stag can simply win the game by spamming out pyros? We will see. But at the very least, attempting to control the middle of the map. I'd like to see these MAKs get some use. While they are still kind of at their prime, at their peak efficiency. Right now would be a decent time to push with them. Of course, there are quite a few light laser towers. So the early game is rather quiet. Even on a map like this, you typically see a lot more action. One or both teams attempting raiding maneuvers and sort of usually trying to catch the opponent off guard. These satellite bases are often a good target because they are pretty far removed from the starting positions, which will allow the enemy team to give allows the enemy team to get there without having as much interference. But yeah, right now, not too much to talk about. Both teams seem to be slowly building up their forces, teching up. But I will say the northern team has a slight advantage at this point because they have more of the middle. The middle of the map is important here for various reasons. For one thing, because there's no water, everything must go through the middle. Which means that the team that holds it has a great map control advantage or positional advantage. And that can certainly help a lot in especially in a team game. Usually on this map, what happens is one team gets control of the mid, and of course that will give them an economic advantage because there's these 4 metal patches, in the middle. And then they will also build a ton of defenses in the mid. As you can see, Stagma building an immolator. And once they have control of the mid, it becomes a lot harder for the other team to win because they will be economically at a disadvantage. And now the only path to the enemy base is covered in defenses. So on a map like this, typically you want to try to fight for the middle early on if you can. Losing the middle it's not necessarily game ending, but it is not a great position. Perfect Dark in the chat saying we are paralyzed by fear. So even he's kind of observing that his team is not being as aggressive as maybe they could be in this situation, trying to fight for the middle before it becomes too encumbered with massive rows of high-tech defenses. Light blue. Bit of dancing. He does have a single Maverick in the mix, so... but like I said before, these MAKs are also very strong at this point of the game. Of course, as the game goes on, they will fall off, but right now, this should be more than Stagnation needs to defend this, as long as his teammates offer assistance. I'd like to see Stagma bring his storms down as well. But as more Mavericks are added to this composition, this will be more and more difficult to hold. It looks like Stagma will use this opportunity to do his own counterattack here in the north. But yeah, Brown being pushed back by the Mavericks. Seems like the Mavericks do outrange the MAKs. I thought the MAKs might be able to hold this better. Well, I think they're doing okay. We'll kill this northern Maverick, but a little bit of indecision by Stagma. If he's not going to attack, I would like him to at least bring his units down here to help defend this approach, but at least the southern team is finally being proactive, finally attempting to break this middle position. But yeah, Stagma with a nice composition of Pyros and Dominators. at around the 16-minute mark of the game. And that should give him the opportunity perhaps to do some damage to blue. Now Bully is the kind of player, the quintessential TRP master. He, if he can, will just build as few units as possible and will play Sim City for 30, 40, 50, 60 or more minutes. It shouldn't be unfair. He does have some Pee-wees and Fidos here, but this will not be anywhere near enough to stop what Stagma has. Nice use of Dominators. These units are really interesting. It's kind of controversial because in OTA the Dominator would shoot vertically, so it was a sort of like a K-Bot Merle or K-Bot Diplomat. But in Escalation they now have a horizontal front-firing missile, and as you can see, it is very effective, especially at stationary defenses. Can't move. And so yeah, this unit is quite effective, but they have to be microed well. They're somewhat slow and vulnerable to attack, especially if the enemy gets too close to them. The range is decent, but it's not huge. It's more like a mid-range unit. Fido is as well. But now Stagma bringing in the Pyromancers to catch the Fidos off guard. So I like this composition. Typically you would see cans and Dominators because cans are slower and a better front line, but Pyros will work as well if microed correctly. But yeah, Stagma definitely applying some pressure up here. This is where most of the action is happening right now. There isn't too much else, I think, to really talk about at this point of the match. So the question really is, how much can Stagma get done with this? The Fidos are making it in range of the Dominators, and most of the Pyros are now dead. So the Southern team has stopped this push for now, forcing Stagma to retreat. Here in the middle, a little bit of skirmishing, but nothing too major. The Northern team has really begun to lock down this area, which will make it difficult for the Southern team to really break through here. But Wotan now building Sumos, and I have said that for core, the Sumo is the king of T2. They are, of course, slower than Molasses, but they deal a lot of damage at a huge range. So if you can get a critical mass of Sumos, that can be game-ending. But right now, Wotan only on 2 Sumos. Not enough to pose a serious threat to the enemy team, but it is enough to clean up any Mortys or Pyros, I think, that get in range. Yellow, Mr. Coolneck with a huge T1 army, but that at this point in the game probably isn't going to do too much. A lot of wind generators here. But yeah, let's see what's Stagma doing. He's still on T2. He has not rushed T3, but he is also building Sumos. I think he has more than Wotan. If yeah, he's got, I think, at least 5 on the field already. So if Stagma, or 6 even, if Stagma can get enough Sumos, he can perhaps break this northern approach and deal serious damage to the enemy team. Coolneck attempting to attack with the T1 push, but it is way too late for that composition to really be effective. Wotan is Sort of beefing up his defenses at this corner of the map. And with a few sumos as well. So, guys, this is the point of the game where sumos can shine. They're slow. They take forever to get to the front line. But if you can get enough of them, they're very difficult to counter at around the 21-minute mark. Before the game hits the T3 phase. Before there's a lot of Doomsday machines or Annihilators up. Before anyone can build penetrators. So Mr. Stagma could certainly have a terrifying push, kind of having the similar idea as Wotan, but he has more sumos than Wotan, and I see 7 right now, an 8th, 9th maybe. So yeah, that's terrifying number of these monsters, and the southern team is going to have to coalesce right now and work together to bring these down, because the reality is Stagma could just win the game with this push right now. The thing about sumos that makes them so terrifying is that they outrange many units before they can even get within position. So Perfect Dark is building some shooters. The shooter is, of course, a decent counter to the sumos, but there's only 2 shooters, and there's, as I said, 8 or more sumos coming through. So I don't think it's going to be quite enough. The southern team definitely needs to pull it together, find a way to stop Mr. Stagma. Stagma has not really rushed T3 as far as I'm concerned. It seems like he's content to stay on T2 and attempt this sumo strategy and see how much he can get done. As you can see, these are slowly crawling or waddling into the southern team's base. And unfortunately, Mortys are not going to be enough to pose a threat. But more shooters are entering the battlefield, and the shooter can be a counter with enough support. But man, the sumos, the range is so effective, and now the southern team in a lot of trouble. Stagma single-handedly applying all the pressure in the world. I'm not even seeing any of his teammates participate in this push, which is a bit sad, I have to tell you. Imagine if his other 3 teammates were just supporting him here. Stagma is essentially 1v4, and if this was an actual 4v4, the game could be over already. As it is, the southern team having a ton of trouble stopping this one player, as these sumos continue to wreathe swaths of destruction through the southern team's positions. There's just not enough here, man. The southern team in a bit of trouble. Now, Brown is putting some pressure on Wotan. I'm not sure what anyone else is doing. But Stagma now getting close to the production line. Wotan was working on T3. And it looks like Light Blue already reached T3, so that explains why the southern team doesn't have much to stop this. Wotan a bit frustrated with the situation. Understandably so. Wotan has his own sumos, but they are not really in position to stop this. And Blue finally bringing down a nice number of Fidos, but these sumos are going to kill Wotan's advanced K-Bot lab. Finally, Blue bringing in the Brawlers. And with that, I think they should be able to stop this. Again, it's a little frustrating the Dark Green's team was not helping this push. If all 4 players had pushed together, the game would probably be over right now. But good teamwork by the Southern team. They will miraculously even keep Wotan's advanced K-Bot lab alive. And what looked like perhaps game over for the Southern team will suddenly resolve itself as Blue brings in some Fidos and Brawlers. So nice job, good teamwork there. I think that could have been a lot worse, especially if the whole Northern team had participated in the push. But nonetheless, the game will go on. Really great use of Brawlers by Blue and Spiders as well to keep the Northern team on their toes. There's simply not enough air defense here to stop these Brawlers, but Light Blue rushing T3 very quickly. Orange now starting it, and of course Wotan was already most of the way. So the Southern team, even though it seems like they've been behind most of the game, are about to have 3 players on T3, and that could certainly change their fortunes. Even though the Northern team has better control of the middle, the Southern team on T3, and really great use of Brawlers, and I have to say, the Northern team is not building the correct countermeasures. Of course, there is a couple Copperheads and Cobras here, and that should be enough to stop this from taking out too much of Stagma's base, but still, really nice job by Blue. Really well-timed gunship attack. But yeah, Stagma with well-placed Cobras. He just isn't going to allow this gunship shenanigans. I think maybe a less experienced player would not have built these, and Blue could have possibly just come through here and killed the backline of the Northern team's base. Now, the Northern team does not have as much T3 as the Southern team. They are working on it. They are slowly getting there. Coolnick certainly on this Protea style. His teammate asking him what he's doing. He's just building a ton of wind generators and then converting it to metal. But I don't really think this works as well in Escalation, because I think there's more efficient ways to get energy and metal than this. So Coolnick is building a massive amount of eco, but that seems to be about all he's doing. He is building yeah, he's got eco everywhere, but in terms of his army, he's only mostly built T1. He's got some Fidos now, but Coolnick, if he wanted, probably could beat a T3 by now. With everything he's invested into just wind generators and eco, probably be at T3 before the Southern team was. But yeah, I do have to say, Team 2 definitely in an advantageous position here, being on T3 much faster than the Northern team. But the question is, can they take that advantage and do something with it? There are some Marauders at the front, but the Northern team will be reaching T3 themselves pretty soon. Yeah, like Stagma already almost there. So realizing that the Sumo push didn't work and that they're going to need to move to the next phase of the game. A lot of Peewees and Fidos, but again, this isn't going to be enough to break through here. Wotan now on T3. But with these Sumos and cans, isn't going to get very far. Let's check out what's going on in the north. Once again, Stagma with a nice number of Sumos. Somebody building a Warden. We don't see these very often. I'd like to see more Wardens in my cast. I think it's a really interesting defense, the armed T3 EMP Fortress. Blue with more Sumos. However, this time Stagma does have a decent number of slashers. So this should be less effective. But the question is, can Stagma actually push with that? I'm not sure if he can. Hulnik forced to retreat. Stagma doing a lot of work here. And to be honest, this army I think is more of an afterthought for him. Most of his resources are now being pumped into T3 as he starting to build some advanced construction, or the T3 construction K-bots. So once again, Stagma really pushing through. Maybe if his team supports him this time, he can get a lot more accomplished. I'd like to see Brown take his Mortys and just move them behind Junior's army here. Just combined forces attack would be really effective. But does Stagma have enough to actually break through the northwest? That's what I'm really curious about here. He does have a decent amount. And this time he's got Mortys. He did not have those last time. Bully frustrated, asking his teammates to make units, but why is Bully not making units? Bully is making some units, but I feel like he's making nearly enough. Yeah, the southern team really has to help him here. Of course, I guess Bully was building air, so we'll give him credit for that. Bully was trying to be the team's air player, but unfortunately team is not really supporting him the way that they should, perhaps. And once again, the southern team is in trouble. Even though they have the tech advantage, they haven't really used it to the degree that I would have liked. Light blue finally with a Cerberus. And with the Cerberus, this defense should become possible. But once again, Stagma really just the star player of this game. Wotan getting frustrated. He's getting 2v1'd by yellow and brown. And I think he can hold this off. I think he'll be okay, but the problem is the northern team's economic situation is becoming a bit dire. The Cerberus will clean up most of what's left of Stagma's attack. So all is not lost. This attack will not be game ending, and I think the Cerberus will even survive, having killed a ton of these Sumos. So if it can be repaired, it could live to fight another day, and with some veterancy. Wotan, a little frustrated. Certainly makes sense. His team has not really been as active as they could be. Wotan building an arbitrator. I'm not sure if that's the best choice in this situation. It could be useful, I guess, for defense if it ever gets finished. But I don't think Wotan is as hopeless as sure what he's... Wotan said Angel T1. Angel is on T3. I'm not sure what he was talking about there, but nonetheless, guys, these games can be very frustrating. Everyone in these big 4v4 games has a different idea of what they're supposed to be doing, but I don't think it's necessarily over for the Southern team, but they are definitely on the back foot. Despite the fact that they reached T3 earlier, they really just haven't made as much of a difference with their T3 units as I would have liked to see. Even just some Talos or more Marauders or anything like that, instead of rushing these expensive T3 units that take forever to build. Sometimes you need more of an economy before you do that. Of course, 2 Cerberus is nothing to scoff at. The game isn't over, but just looking at the mega map, you can kind of see the story of the game. The northern team has a huge portion of the map, and they are slowly pushing forward. Stagma building these toasters and now a doomsday machine to make it even harder to respond. Yeah, a very difficult situation to be in for sure for our southern team, but it isn't over. They can still win. Light Blue is building a Raptor. One thing, Light Blue has 2 Ultra K-Bot assemblers. I don't agree with this. I don't think Light Blue even has the resources to use both of this. So this is... Guys, this is just not necessary. Light Blue can't really support both of those T3 K-Bot labs at the same time. He could simply dump all of his resources into one lab, and that would be more than enough to use his eco. T3 factories are not cheap. They're quite a huge investment, so if you're going to build T3 factories, the only reason to build a second one is if it's a T3 factory of a different tech. So if you had a T3 K-Bot factory, you could build a T3 vehicle factory, or if you had a T3 vehicle factory, you could build a T3 air factory. But generally there's not much of a reason to build multiple of the same factory. You could just build more, you could just construct more build power, say in the form of whatever the case may be, construction aircraft, or even just the T3 constructors can give you more build power. Really not much of a reason to build a second factory, one you already have. Once again, Wotan in a bit of trouble, trying to delay the horde. The arbitrator is out, so it will begin contributing, but I have to wonder if there was a better option than the arbitrator. Even just pumping his resources into Talos, I think would have made a bigger difference. The arbitrator is best against static defenses. It can be okay in this situation, but it takes so long to fire. I don't know if it's going to be enough. You can see there's like a 20-second cooldown between shots. Wotan asking for helps again. Another arbitrator missile. Will take out a decent number of units, but not enough. Wotan struggling to survive as Dark Green pushing through again. This Cerberus was not repaired, so it's now on its last legs. Wotan frustrated. Oh no, the arbitrator missile looked like it was going to hit his own stuff. But yeah, I think the Southern team now collapsing. Wotan has just been doing it on his own for too long here. Trying to hold on, but Light Blue really failed them with this double Ultra K-Bot assembler. It's just a huge waste of resources and time. Oh, okay. They're still hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Are they hanging on right now? Coolnick applying a ton of pressure. Rage Gamer as well. Bringing more Fidos into the fray. But here in the north, there's also a nice battle raging. Stagma in blue. But man, these defenses that Stagma has built, so impressive. They're even contributing to the battle itself. So this is a great performance by our dark green player. And the southern team, once again, as they have been all game, on the back foot, and now in a terrifying situation. As you can see, this Talos contributing a lot more. The Arbitrator will be able to deal with these Fidos and Stumpies without much problem, especially if Wotan can get more of them. The game is not over. There are still two Cerberus, but they are losing health rapidly. I would have liked to see that first one be repaired, because by now it should have 24 kills. So both of them on full veterancy or near full veterancy. Blue bringing in brawlers, but there's too much air defense now. I don't think this is going to work as well as it did last time. Even a lacerator in the background. The Warden will not be completed. And the southern team doing what they can to survive, but I have to say, it's not just a lack of teamwork, it's also some questionable decisions. This in particular. Look at this, like, instead of being 3/4 of the way through a Cerberus and a Raptor, he could just have one or the other, trying to finish two huge projects at the same time and ultimately achieving nothing. It's got to be frustrating. If I was on the southern team, if I was in this game, I would be very frustrated with him, because a Raptor that had come out 5 minutes ago could have absolutely changed this game if he had devoted all his resources into it. Raptors, of course, like the T3.5, the ARM equivalent to the Krogoth. They are quite terrifying indeed, and it could still have a huge effect on the game. If that Raptor ever gets finished, it could definitely give the southern team a fighting chance, but the question is whether it ever will get finished. And you know, in fairness, as you can see, Perfect Dark is he's not even using all his resources, but that just means he doesn't have enough build power. The Raptor will be completed, and it is getting blocked by a tree here. That's never a good situation. Thing needs to move to the front as quickly as possible. Wotan's base is in danger. Brown has managed to get some Sumos all the way to the front of Wotan's base. Nice Arbitrator missile there. See how many kills this thing has. Arbitrator with 73 kills. Okay, so it's... Arbitrator has done quite a bit here. I really don't think Wotan is why the southern team is losing. Ooh, that was a good hit. Wotan has been doing his job. It's more his teammates, I think, that have let him down. Blue's been doing a decent job as well. I kind of feel like Angel is trolling a little bit. I don't feel like Angel has done much of anything this game. Still building cans and Mortys. It is way too late for that. I'd like to see more T3 support. Finally, the Raptor will begin moving into the battle, and that could hopefully give the southern team any kind of chance to get back into this game. I mean, it feels hopeless. But don't give up just yet. Single Arbitrator. Ooh, nice hit on the Cerberus. But I will say the Southern team is doing a valiant job of defending, despite being under this constant, endless pressure. These two Cerberus are still alive, if just, on a sliver of health. Third Cerberus, of course, entering the fray, but these two probably going to die in just a moment. Nice micro, keeping them alive as long as possible. Where was that raptor at? We need him in the battle. I don't know where the raptor is. I'm going to have to try to find it. Here it is. So the raptor is finally making it to the front. And again, with these Cerberus, could light blue possibly prevent the northern team from winning the game? All three Cerberus at one hit. This is unbelievable. These things just have a sliver of health. Let me show you. Look at how much. This is their health bar. They're so deep in the red. I would love to see light blue just pull those back and repair them. That would be amazing. If we repaired those absolute war heroes, and if they live to fight another day. But man, I don't know how Wotan is holding on. He's been under pressure the whole game. Yellow with an endless supply of Fidos and Stumpies, and now Cerberus. I don't know how much longer Wotan can even hold on here. Orange has some nice defenses, but this is only protecting him. This is not protecting Wotan's base at all. Wotan is now collapsing, and there's just not much to be done about it. He's light blue taking his Raptors and Cerberus to the north. He will lose two Cerberus at the same time. That's so sad. It would have been so much cooler if light blue had just retreated all that and tried to repair it before maybe sending it to the southeast to protect Wotan. But I think, unfortunately, the teamwork of the southern team just has not been really good enough to survive this game as Wotan's base finally falls. This arbitrator continuing to push out his tactical missiles. Let's see how many kills it has. 114 kills on the arbitrator. Yeah, Wotan doing his best here. It just won't be enough. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be the end, or the end is nigh. We'll say that. A second Raptor now making it to the front line, but again, Perfect Dark's mistake here was taking those Raptors, the Raptor and the Cerberus, and sending them into Stagma's defensive positions. Ooh, an Intimidator. So Stagma is now building some long-range plasma cannons as well to add insult to injury. But as I was saying before, Perfect Dark had brought his Raptors and Cerberus down here to assist Wotan after maybe even repaired the Cerberus. Would have been a much better decision instead of sending them into Stagma's defenses to just die. Yeah, even Bully, frustrated with Angel. I mean, it's sad because Angel has a decent enough economy, but he just hasn't made the best choices with it at all. And the Raptor still trying to hang on. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. The Southern team doing their best to try and survive against the insurmountable pressure. But, yeah, again, this Raptor impressive. I mean, it's still alive. Let's see how much health it has. 47 kills and about half health. Bully, I think, just gives up. Frustrated with his teammates. Understandably so. Bully did a lot that game. Nice use of air, and then also carrying the weight of the ground forces. But once again, the Northern team really, I think, working better together. Better teamwork for sure. Kulnik with this very Protea style. Look at all the K-Bot labs, or the vehicle plants here. It's a huge number of T1 and T2 units. And Wotan did a valiant job of surviving for a long time, but man, yeah, I feel like Orange especially really let them down. Yeah, and Red didn't really do much of anything this game. He built a few Fidos, but otherwise didn't contribute much. It was mostly brown, yellow, and dark green. They all worked well together. Keeping that pressure up the entire game, and I think with that, it was only a matter of time before our Southern team collapsed into oblivion. It's been a very interesting game, but I don't see how they can survive much longer, my friends. This game looks a bit dire. In fact, I think to call it a bit dire is an understatement of many centuries. One thing that's important, you see this a lot in team games, actually not just Total Annihilation, you see this, I've seen this in many RTSs. So, Orange built defenses to protect his base, but Orange's base was not under pressure the entire game. It's only under pressure now that the game's over. But if Orange had actually built his defenses in front of Wotan's base to help him, it could have made a difference. If you see your teammate is struggling, building defenses to protect your base is basically just giving them the middle finger. It's like saying, well, I know you're going to die, so I'm just going to build defenses to protect my base after you die. So, guys, it's okay to help your teammates out. It's okay to build defenses around their base. I'm sure they won't complain. But ultimately, these defenses were useless. They did not help anyone. Didn't really help Orange or anyone else. And with that, I think the Southern team doesn't have much left to do. Once again, Perfect Dark's decision to build 2 Ultra K-Bot assemblers, I don't agree with. He could have maybe gone into a T3 vehicle plant, that would have been okay, or T3 air. But yeah, in the end, a few crucial mistakes from the Southern team will give the Northern team the advantage they needed to slowly overcome their opponents. And I'm surprised Wotan's still in this game. I think about 20-30 minutes ago he was talking about leaving. But in the end, he will be one of the final players and will die. So guys, that was a pretty good game. I think the Southern team definitely could have won. They got to T3 much earlier. They didn't really use their T3 advantage properly, and the teamwork wasn't great either. Bully and Wotan did a good job, but it is a team game, and you do have to work together. So guys, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this cast. Red finally on T4, but it doesn't matter. Join my Discord, and yeah, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will catch you in the next cast.